Good afternoon, happy stampers. This is Judy Anderson from judystamps.com, and welcome to my Happy Stamping Studio, where I hope to in your everyday paper crafting. I'm sorry, my screen froze. I'm not sure if yours did or not, but if it did, I am so sorry. So today we are going to be using some new products. Today we had our new 2025 to 2026 annual catalog go live. In addition to that, we have a whole bunch of online exclusives. And this is the annual catalog. This is the cover. I am not using anything except for some card stock. And from the annual catalog, I am rather using stuff from our online exclusives. And I can tell you guys, it is going to be so hard to choose what you want. I actually had chosen this for our stamp night at our on stage convention this last March in Raleigh. So I've been hanging on to this since Raleigh, and I can tell you it is a fun bundle. It's actually a fun whole suite. The products we've got paper and cardstock and dies that all coordinate together. Now, I moved everything on myself here and have lost the designer series paper I was going to share with you. Oh dear, I will come across it. I put it to the side so that it wasn't in the way, and now it disappeared on me. So we are going to be using the Impressions of Bloom stamp set and dies and paper, like I said. And I did just come across the papers, like I said, I knew I would. So it is called, the paper is called Floral Impressions. And I think this paper kind of takes you through all four seasons. It's got the colors of Crushed Curry, Darling Duckling, Fresh Freesia, Garden Green, Misty Moonlight, Old Olive, Peach Pie, Pecan Pie, lots of pies in this one, Pool Party, Pretty in Pink, and Strawberry Slush. Two of our new in colors are the Darling Duckling and the Strawberry Slush, with the Strawberry Slush being a returning in color. And I was so happy to see this color return. I was actually hoping that it would show up in our lineup, which it hasn't to this day. So as I show you these papers, you're going to see they've coordinated these gorgeous colors together. It is a double-sided. This one, it's got the Old Olive on that side. This one, oh my gosh, reminds me of fall, you know, your August and your September into even October. It kind of reminds me of those sunflowers, and I love sunflowers. And here's the back for that one. And here's another one with the ferns and sunflowers. They also remind me of some other flowers that are growing. And here's your Pool Party background. And this one, oh, this one is so much fun because the card I'm showing you today, you could actually cut the strips here and use those strips for the small spaces, or even bringing it across this way for scrapbook pages, talking about the different seasons and showing pictures of people in different seasons. I do that a lot of times, like if I have a lot of Samantha and I don't have enough on a page, I'll just do a page with all different photos from different times of the year. And I think that would be a great one to bring them through the years or through the seasons of the year. Here's one that we are actually going to be using today that has all the different pretty colors in them. And the back with the Fresh Freesia. We are using both sides of that one. And as you can see, I cut a little piece out of this one, and this has a smaller version print. So the Impressions of Bloom stamp set has 17 stamps, and you get 4 sentiments, which I love. It has, it's a 2-step stamp. You can also use it just for solid, or you could use just the detail stamps in this one to stamp. So it's got a lot of potential in this. And then you have the Impressions of Bloom dies. These dies, you guys, are crazy wonderful. I love these large ovals and the details. It embosses. So this one here cuts, and this one on the inside will emboss your image. And so we've got a lot of that going on. So if you just use solid colored cardstock with these dies, you can get a lot of different variations. Now, before we go any further, I am actually going to move this off. And I want to show you a little trick with these stamp sets and dies. I am going to grab my dark black Stampin' Blend. And I want to show you, because some people say, well, Judy, sometimes it's hard to line these images up. How do you know how to line up the images and the dies without taking forever? Well, I'll take my stamp set, and I love the photopolymer for this, and you can turn this around until it matches that die. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your permanent marker, which I'm using my Stampin' Blend, and I'm just going to move this just a little bit. I am going to mark my stamp and my 2 dies. Okay? So I know when I go to use these, I just have to line up those dots and those lines. If it's easier for you when we remove these from the sheet, I'll mark the other side, but that is marked. So that makes it easier. We're going to do the same thing here with this image. So I look for spots on the stamp. So there's a large space here and a large space here. Here's a large space and here's a large space. So more than likely that's going to line up there, and it does. So once again, I'm going to move this down. I'm going to draw on my stamp and my dies. Okay? And then I'll be able to line those up much easier. So if you want to do it for this one also, you could. Doing it, once again, I'm going to look for a telltale thing. Here's 3 bumps here. Here's 3 bumps here. That should fit that way. It does. So we're just going to move this down a little bit. Right here on that petal, I just marked those. Okay, so I hope that's a tip that's something new for you to learn. Hi, Chris, how are you? Glad you made it live today. So we are going to do some stamping in a little bit. And we are just going to be using some scrap white for that stamping. I'm going to move this out of the way, and we are going to go into our paper that we're using today. So I am using the Strawberry Slush, and my fold is called a Gatefold Double Floating Pop-Out Card. And I chose not to show it to you to begin with because people get intimidated with these type of fold outs. I'm hoping I have enough liquid glue here. If not, I'm going to have to get some. So we're going to start out with our card base. And our card base is 8.5 by 5.5. And we're going to score it at 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. So I find it easier to, sorry, my mail person just came to the door. So the dogs are going to make a little bit of noise. I'm going to move this up to the 2 1/8 and taking my light gray scoring blade, I'm going to do this. Now, I could move this through to 6 1/8 or 6 3/8, but I find it easiest just to turn this around and do it at 2 1/8 again. That way, I know my measuring of my cardstock is correct. So we're doing that at 2 1/8. So that is our first piece. Going on with the Strawberry Slush, our next two pieces, we're going to do some more scoring here. Our next two pieces are 2 3/8, 3 1/8 by 2 1/2. We need two of those. And don't forget, you'll find these over on my blog. Then we need two pieces that measure 1 1/2 by 5 1/2. I recommend cutting this at 3 inches by 5 1/2. Do your scoring and then cut it. But I'm going to show you how, if you didn't do that, you can actually score them both at the same time. So I scored them at 1 inch already. And then I'm going to bring this up to 3 1/4, making sure my ends line up. So it's at 3 1/4. I'm going to make sure I got a good score line there. And then I move it up to 4 1/4. And like this. So I find that with cardstock, I can do it this way. So if you cut it at 3 by 5 1/2, you would then cut it at 1 1/2 inches and have your two pieces. Now we're going to move on to our designer series paper. The first pattern you choose, which could be any pattern, you're going to use 3 different patterns. We're going to measure 4 by 5 1/4. Our next piece, which is pattern number 2, which is actually the back side of pattern number 1. We're doing 2 at 2 7/8 by 2 1/4. And then our last piece, we are doing another 2 that measure 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. And this is for the outside. The other 2 Fresh Freesia ones are going to be for the inside. So that is your pieces. Now we are going to assemble. So when we assemble this, don't forget your folds or mountains are in the middle. So we're going to hold that this way. And then we're going to put our designer series paper on there. I put this one, the center in first, because then I can line up the two sides, the height to this piece. Another way would be to do the 2 outside pieces. And if it's a little bit off, you won't really notice it. You just line this up so you can't tell. So we're just going to do an even border around our edges. And a little bit of wiggle. Just press it down firmly. Okay, now we want these 2 sides. And quite honestly, I could choose any of these. They all coordinate. I just thought that the Fresh Freesia kind of popped on this strawberry slush. Strawberry slush is kind of to me a lighter Poppy Parade. And I love Poppy Parade. It's got that little bit of orange in there. But your strawberry slush is a little bit lighter on the pinky tone. So we're going with this, and this paper is just gorgeous. Now you could change your colors up, your card base up, and if we went with like the pumpkin pie, it would make it more fall-y looking. And then I would change these 2 here. Okay, so we've got that. That's the inside of our card. Now we're going to take and we're going to fold on those score lines and bring this in. I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Fold it, and you can tell that that center meets really nice. Okay, so this is a directional paper, so I want to make sure I keep the top at the top and away from me. I'm going to fold that, and these are also directional, so we're going to be putting these right here. Now this is the base of your fold and putting that together, and I'm going to be putting this card together, and then we're going to decorate and stamp. We'll put that one here. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a cough. I want to thank all of you with your well wishes for my husband. He is feeling a little bit better. It was a little bit scary there for a while. He ended up being in the hospital for just over 4 days. for a same-day surgery normally, but he was fighting an infection, and his gallbladder ended up being a lot worse than we thought. Okay, so there's our fold, and it's going to open up that way. Next, we are going to do our mechanisms. And you want to fold your mechanisms on those score lines, both the same way. And you want to fold them all so they're all going in that same direction. Okay, we're going to start with the top. Now, at the top, you want to make sure that your single rectangle, your single segment, is on your small flap. Okay, so just think of it as small with small. Okay, and what we're going to do is I like using the liquid glue for this because I have a little bit of wiggle room. Now I'm going to line this up just outside that mountain. Okay, so let me see if I can do this up here a little bit closer. So that mountain, just to that right there. I'm going down about a 1/4 inch. Lining that up straight there, pressing it. But before I press it too much down, now see how it is just a little bit at an angle? I want to make sure it's straight there. Okay, then I'm going to press that. And then on this outside flap segment, we're going to take our glue and put it there. I am going to fold it under and put this down. Now, before I press too hard, I do want it to stick. I want to close this flap because you're going to notice, see how it kind of sticks up? If there's a little bit of a bulk in there, you want to push this down so there's no bulk. Because if you don't push that down, your card will not close properly. And they're never going to open this up completely. So it's flat. And because we tighten that, it won't go flat. Okay, so that's our first mechanism. Now we're going to flip this around so it's upside down. And we're going to do the same thing with our second mechanism. Remember, the smaller section goes with the smaller section. So we're going to add some glue right here. We're going to fold it under and line it up to that little bump, going down, up or down, actually about a 1/4 inch. Okay, press that down. Go ahead and add adhesive to this side. Fold it under. Press it down, but not too much. I wiggled it. Close that flap. Now this flap needs to be outward just a little bit. Now see, and now it's going to correct itself. Now, if you use tape, I recommend the Stampin' Seal or the Tear & Tape because this is a moving card, number one. And you do have to be careful when you place your squares down that you don't press too hard. Okay, so now this is the top because remember we have directional paper, so it does matter. If you don't have directional paper, it doesn't matter which is up and down. So these are going to close like that. That is your fold. Okay, just like that. From here on in, it's going to depend on what you want to do. And I forgot to cut some paper. I forgot to cut my basic white cardstock. So I need to get my basic white out and we need to cut. So we need 2 at 2 7/8 by 2 1/4. So I'm going to go 2 1/4. And 2 7/8, which is here. And hopefully I have 2 7/8 here. Oh, just about perfect. So those are going to go onto these mats. Okay, Now, I am going to go ahead and adhere these mats. So when I adhere these mats, I'm going to put the adhesive here. Okay. I'm going to line it up so it's against this side. Close my card and make sure that it doesn't protrude over the top. Okay, press down. See that it's even. Okay, and that it doesn't stick up. Now, same thing here. Now, these pieces, these two pieces can be any size you want. I'm going to line it up to that outside edge. I'm going to fold it down and bring it down to that edge here. Make sure it's all the way in. Okay, so when it closes, it's going to close like that. Now, I do that now because it will set up by itself. This one's just a little bit crooked here. So let's make sure we get that straight and that it's within the lines. Okay, but no matter, you can make these any height you want. You just don't want to make them any longer than the 2 7/8. Otherwise, it might not fold incorrectly. This goes almost right to that score line if you look right there. Okay. So we've got those. Sure, those are down really good. I'm going to close it up, press it down, and set it to the side. So from here on in, you can do whatever you want. I am going to take my garden green for my words and, oops, of course, my strawberry slush. And I think I'm going to do a little bit of Daffodil Delight, or Darling Duckling, not Daffodil Delight. So this is going to be my top mat. This is going to be my bottom mat. We are going to do stamp some flowers and put them on the front and in the inside also. So I want to make this card. I'm going to do thanks so very much. So on this top one, I'm going to put thanks. Just pull the thanks out here. And so very much. Grab our blocks. So I don't want to get my head in there. I line these up to my grid paper and my block. And then my thanks. Again, so this is another little trick if you have trouble getting your words on your blocks. I am doing it toward the left a little bit because I want this to stamp to the left, and I want this to be a little bit closer to the left edge. I'm lining this up again, and I want 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Okay. So I'm going to stamp my thanks. So let's see. I re-inked all my pads. They were getting pretty dry. Put this thanks right here, just like that. Clean off our stamp. Let me know how many of you have the new catalog already and what is your favorite stamp set in there. Oh, thank you, Chris. We are too. So glad. Yeah, Kim, better days are ahead. He says they couldn't get any worse. He is not one to go to doctors. It doesn't do very well when I tell him he needs to go. Um, that's why it took us so long to go, number one. And number two, because we thought it was food poisoning to begin with. I'm going to try to put this in the center. I'm going to put a flower on here and leave myself some room to write. Okay, so we've got those. And now we're going to do our flowers. So we are going to take some scrap paper and do some flowers. I've got some scrap paper here, and I am going to use this large one. And don't forget now, we can see through that so that when we do our die cut, we'll be able to see it. But I've got another trick to show you. Whenever I do this, and I'm stamping more than one image that I have marked, what I do is I take and I mark my paper. So this is the top. I am going to have those marks all facing the top and towards the left. Okay? So they'll either be straight up or top and to the left. So when I take my die, I know how it's going to go. So I am going to stamp these, stamp a couple of them and stamp them different colors. I like starting with the lighter color first. And that is going to be our, oh, you know what? Let me wash this off. I'm going to use fresh freesia. I'm going to use the Darling Duckling for the center. So let me get my fresh freesia out. Because we have details, I am going to use some details in these. So just stamp this once again. I'm putting that up towards the top and to the left. So we're going to do that one, fresh freesia. Clean it off. I'm going to do another one, strawberry slush, same thing, up and to the left. That one's a lot darker. Okay, and then I am going to stamp that small flower, which kept falling off. And we're going to do a couple of those. Once again, I've got this up and to the left, up to the top. I'm going to do two of these. And one of the strawberry slush. Okay, clean that off real good. Okay, now we are going to take our Darling Duckling. I don't know how they can keep coming up with so many names for these colors. So that's our Darling Duckling, and that's the bigger dot. And I'm just doing the detail dot. I'm not doing the solid. Let's do these. Just like that. Then I'm going to do the detail. Now, the detail, I am going to do all the detail in the strawberry slush. And I forgot to mark this one. This is to the top left. So let me get my marker. Mark it here. Okay, so when I go to line that one up, I can line it up. This one is actually pretty easy to line up. Can pretty much tell. I also don't worry if it's perfect. Some people want it to be perfect and no white showing, but I like the white showing because then it gives it a little bit more dimension and a 3D effect, I feel. I've always been that way with my two-step stamps like this. Okay, and we got the smaller image. And once again, the 3 lines, we're going to line that up. Nope. The 3 lines, it's that one. So let me mark this also. Top left. This one, I'm going to stamp the first one with the fresh freesia, okay, which just makes it darker. This one with the strawberry slush, and this one with the strawberry slush. Okay, we've got those. I am going to stamp. Oh, I don't know if I want a couple leaves or not. We'll decide about the leaves later. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cut these out. I could have done the leaves beforehand, which would have been really smart, right? Okay, I'm using my mini cut and emboss machine, so I need to cut these down so it's narrower. Cut that way. And I'm not sure if that's going to fit through. We'll try it. Hey, let me see. So Chris, have you chosen a favorite card or favorite stamp set yet? Okay, remember I said we might want to mark these on the other side. So I'm just going to mark this one right here. And that's going to line up right there. But like I said, these are pretty simple to line up. And look at my paper fits perfectly. So I can cut out 2 at one time. Go ahead and mark this on this side. So double duty here, and hopefully, and that's towards the top. Remember, this was the top of our paper. So I'm lining those lines up to the top. Stair step this. Hold it tight. And go ahead and run it through our machine. Got enough space today so I can run it all the way through. Okay, so we've got 2 of those done. Line it up and do it again. Remember, this is the top. See how much easier that makes that with just that little line? That visual really helps when you're creating. Then you don't have to spend so much time trying to remember how you did it and how it went through. And by doing it the same every time, it just becomes habit. You don't even think about it really. Okay. And we have one more small one to do. I have a feeling I'm going to be adding leaves to these, but I won't add them on this live. I will add them before I post it to my blog, which won't be until a little bit later today. And I will have all the measurements and everything there. I will have product codes for you to make it easier. Don't forget, this is not in the catalog. This is an online exclusive. And if you are a customer of mine and have made purchases or purchased classes through me, I can send you a file that has the newly released. I'm looking for my papers here. The newer released online exclusive. Okay, so we've got our thing. And I'm just going to glue that on here, centering it here. Now, if I was making these myself, I probably would have done this first before adhering them. But I wanted to show you what the card looks like before you start decorating. And, you could just do those mats instead of a color and then the white on top, you could just do white and not do that extra layer. Okay, let's do this. Okay, push this down. Okay, so we have that. Press them down good. I think for the front, I am going to do a circle. I'm going to use my circle punches here. I'll use the 2 3/8 and the 2-inch for the white. I need to get some more strawberry slush. Hang on just a second. Oh, I'm going to have to get another piece. And my 2 3/8 inch circle. Just punch that. Let's grab my white here. And my 2-inch white. Here on here. If I had thought about this, I would have done thanks on the front. So very much you're appreciated, but it's all fine. Okay, I'm going to adhere this on here. Now, I am going to put, I should have done 3 of these. I'll put these on here like this. And so I am going to stamp a couple leaves here. How do you like this designing as I go? I had it all figured out in my mind, exactly what I was going to do. And if you guys are like me, you start with one idea, and before you end up, your card is totally different, right? Okay, so we're going to do some of these leaves. I'm going to do one this way. Do one out this way. I'm going to do a little cheater here. I'm going to put this here. And we are just going to stamp a little leaf going up this way. And then an even smaller one right over here. And you know why I'm doing it? I'm going to have to do another leaf because I don't like it even. I'm going to do another leaf over here. I like odd number leaves. There we go. So I put this here so that another little tip, I don't get ink onto this layer here. Okay, you can use a Post-it now. Do you? That's my theme. Okay, so we're going to use the big one here. And I am going to pop it up. Use my dimensional. I'm going to do a dimensional here and here. Now you need to make sure that your dimensionals stay on your circle. Okay, and look how perfect those 3 leaves look there. Then we're going to go ahead and use this one. I'm going to put it all the way up here on the petal. Now my club members tomorrow, and for my stamp class tomorrow, we are making one of these cards. We're using different paper and different stamps, a little bit different than what I'm showing you here. So if you're local to me and you want to come stamp once a month, contact me and we will talk about my once a month stamping here in my studio for cards like this. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, and I'm only going to attach it on one side. So I'm going to put a line down here and not too close to the edge. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that that's in, because you know when we put that on there, it kind of smishes. So we're just going to put that there. Hold it for just a second. Make sure none of the adhesive smushed out. Then we have these two cards, or these two flowers. I'm going to put those on here. And you know what? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to stamp the leaves on here. I don't have to die cut. So I am going to hold this way and decide where I want my leaves. Put them here. Lift this up just a little bit. Another one here. Another one this way. Okay, now we need to make sure, and this is really important, when we're going to put this smaller flower here, when we put this on, that it doesn't go beyond the end of that mat, the end of this, okay? And you want to glue it. You don't want to put dimensionals on the inside, because that'll keep it from. So I can go over that little bit of 1/8 of an inch there. And we're going to have that flower there. And we can put this flower up here. And once again, I'm going to stamp some leaves. Yeah, I'm pretty honest with you guys, aren't I? Gracie says, you're too honest. You don't need to tell us that you didn't plan it this way. And I just got a little bit of ink there, which is not a good thing, but that's okay. Put a little bit of glue, and we want this down. It can go up to that mat there. So I'm just going to wiggle it up just a little bit there. Okay. And now I'm going to press everything. Okay, so here is our card. Where am I located? Oh, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Well, you're a little ways away from me. I'm in Illinois. I'm in a southwest suburb of Illinois. From Oshkosh, it takes me 2 hours to get to Milwaukee. So you're a little bit farther northwest. So if I go to Delafield or Delavan, it takes me, just a little bit over 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes now, probably about. But yeah, so you may want to come down for one of my Saturday weekend classes, though. I do those on the weekend. If you do scrapbooking, I do some scrapbooking classes on Saturdays, and we'd love to have you come visit us. So here's this card. We'll go this way, and then it opens up, and it will stand like this. Okay, I guess those leaves didn't really show a little bit, and I moved this, so it went over the very much. Not a good move. I should have double checked that. Well, here we go. I'm going to be able to move that, believe me. This is just an opportunity. If you have visited my blog, you've met Tammy. Tammy loves opportunities. Here we go. She's a new stamper, and she brings you through her journey of learning. So, and those are posted every Friday. So here we go. That's going to close up. Oh, I got to move that. I might switch to a little one down here too. I'm going to switch to a little one. With that, because it keeps hitting over here. I'm too far over. So I'm going to be putting in small flower over here. But this is such a fun card, you guys. And I'm sure now that I broke it down, you're going to make one. And if you make one, please post it right here on my page in the comments. And you may just get a little gift mailed to you. So, Chris, I keep you guessing. You got that right. I'd love to come on Saturday, maybe in the fall, summer. So busy through September for me. Yes, I agree. Summer is busy for everybody. But Kim, if you come down to the Scrapbook Expo in August, I will be there. Make sure you stop and say hi to me, okay? And I'll have a little gift for you. So until we meet again, everybody, happy stamping. I hope you enjoyed this live and this project today. See you all soon. Bye-bye.